Mask of the Betrayer is already one of the best story-driven CRPGs out there. Cohesive, concise, and utterly immersive. But what if I told you there were some really cool things cut from the final version that could have made the adventure even better? The first piece of deleted content was a quest called Patron of the Arts. It was part of something the adventure really missed, namely proper closure to the original campaign. Kevin Saunders, the lead designer and producer of Mask of the Betrayer, told Game Banshee that Patron of the Arts was, quote, a complete tangent from the main storyline and mostly for nostalgia value and comic relief. It involved organizing a play using the actors at the Vale and competing with actors at the Sloop. Unfortunately, there are only slight traces of this quest in the dialogue file. We can learn from them that the play would be about the events of the original campaign. We would get to help write the script and choose the cast. At some point, the actor playing the King of Shadows would have quit, requiring us to secure his services again. Also, the Sloop would have copied the idea for the play, and our job would be to make them cancel their show. Finally, the quest would culminate with a cutscene showing the play, which would look different depending on the script, cast, and so on. So, why was this quest cut? Well, the reason was size. Not just the size of the quest though. You see, Mask of the Betrayer had a small team, small budget, and a small target audience. To make everything work, setting the priorities right was key. Saunders said this on the matter. We certainly could have implemented the Patron of the Art quest, but if we had, it would have had bugs we wouldn't have been able to fix, and other bugs we did find and fixed would have slipped through. Or we could have hired more testers, but then we would have had fewer people in other departments, and other things wouldn't have gotten done. Everything is a trade-off. Maybe it was for the best then. I think we can get a sense of what half-assed content looks like in Mask by doing the Amongero quest. I still can't get over how bad it is. Anyway, it's worth remembering that Atari originally requested a straightforward hack-and-slash adventure from Obsidian. Kevin Saunders took a big risk by allowing George Zeitz, the creative lead, to write such a complex, lore-heavy story for it. Interestingly, the man who appointed George Zeitz for his role was none other than Chris Avallone, the lead designer of Planescape Torment. Another awesome idea that was abandoned in Mask of the Betrayer is also Zeitz's biggest regret about the game, as he told VentureBeat. He wanted the player character to be able to destroy the Wall of the Faithless, which would be a very fitting end to the Third Crusade. The idea definitely was on the table, but dropping it was a question of license of all things. Zeitz said that, quote, that situation arose because of the general rule that CRPGs can't make major changes to the realms. But since the realms changed significantly in 4.0 and the wall is now gone, I wish we'd talked more to Wizards of the Coast about that. I have a feeling they may have allowed us to kill the wall since they already knew what was in store for the realms. Of course, I could be wrong, and at the time I had no way of knowing that the world was going to change so drastically, but it would have been worth a shot. Well, you know what they say, you miss 100% of shots you don't take. In any case, I really like the idea of being able to destroy the wall and how morally ambiguous it would be. After all, doing so would have a huge impact on the compact between the gods and mortals, and the results could have been catastrophic to the realms. Righting this wrong could therefore lead to much more deadly ones. Then again, if the evil Spirit Eater chooses to master the curse, they can actually challenge the gods. Perhaps Spirit Eaters of all alignments could master the curse for the greater good of all mortals, or what they think is the greater good, and force the gods to change the rules. To encourage worship, not extort it. If you're interested in more details, check out my lore introduction to Mask of the Betrayer, where I discuss both the Wall of the Faithless and the relationship between the gods and mortals. Well, regardless of the lost opportunities I've talked about, Mask of the Betrayer remains one of the best story-driven CRPGs out there, even if it's criminally underappreciated in the mainstream media. And let this keen observation conclude my Neverwinter Nights 2 Cut Content series. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and also remember to give the video a thumbs up and share your thoughts down in the comments. This is what the compact between content creators and the algorithm demands. Thanks for watching and see you soon.